Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I'm Brittany, the maker and mom behind Ginger Patch Designs, and this is another sort of vintage sewing vlog. I am working with vintage fabrics today, but I also have some from Hobby Lobby that I'm restocking on some things as well. I've only gotten so far as to pair the fabric, so this is the lineup of what we're working with today. This is one of the primary fabrics and I paired it with this, it's like a goldish yellow. I was trying to draw out the colors here. So this is the second one. We've got vertical stripes here, and then I'm just gonna play it safe and use a solid pink on that. I might go for a darker pink because, well, no, two-tone pink. I think two-tone pink works. Well, I don't have a lot of this one. I might only be able to get one tote bag out of that one. And then this one just screams fall to me. There's some really odd pieces to it. Like this is one of the smaller pieces that I'll probably do for some tote bags. With this like sage green, I think is gonna look so pretty. And then the last one here I showed in the last vlog, it was this gorgeous big floral, and I chose a darker pink to kind of accent with the lighter pink here. And then just for fun, I just saw this one on my shelf that I forgot about, and I think I want to make some makeup bags or huge pouch bags with this one. And based on some of the feedback from the keepsake collection, I am strictly making some more Meemaw pocket totes and Charlotte totes. I actually cut some more of this purple. I think I cut 2 of these because I only have one Charlotte tote in stock in this purple stuff right here. Oh, and I need to apologize. I promise that I do know my shapes. When I did the quilt top video where I took, let me see if I can reach it from here. I took the quilt top and I made it into tote bags. I kept calling them hexagons. And then a really sweet lady down in the comments reminded me that they're octagons. They're octagons. These are the pocket totes that we're working with. The exterior is almost finished. As you can see, I've got them clipped here to sew together, but we'll have 2 of these purple ones, and then we'll have 2 of these blue ones. I love how the like buffalo check paired with the like daisy floral blue here. And then this is so fall to me with this green. Oh my gosh, it's just, I might have to keep one of those for myself. Much awaited here on the bottom is the Holly Hobby. And I just love how this red check is gonna go. So I would never have initially thought to do like stripes with checkered, but I really think it works. Very, very rarely is that gonna work, right? If you hear rock music, Mr. GPD added Beastie Boys to my daughter's playlist out there. She's playing with Legos and listening to Beastie Boys, I guess, while I get some work done. Okay, let's go ahead and get this one out of the way. It's very odd shaped, and so let me see what I could get out of this. So it's like this big L. Okay, let's work with the big side first. This is what's time consuming, like trying to salvage this stuff and get the most out of it and measure. Okay, so we got 2 that way. Scraps for like zipper tabs. I think my best bet is to cut here. I'm trying to think what to call this. I ended up getting 2 boxy bags, 3 flats, and 2 keychains. I'm thinking like patchwork, cottage patchwork. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. I don't know why I call this style Victorian. Like when I was growing up, when I was a teenager, my grandparents bought a historic Victorian house in my hometown, and they restored it. It was in dire shape, and they restored it, and they probably had it for like 20 years. They worked on this thing on the side, and it was so pretty. But this reminds me of just like the decor in their house. Okay, so this is a little, oh, it is just the width of a Charlotte bag. Oh my gosh, but it's got the selvage on it. It's gonna be slightly narrower than the Charlotte bags that I already have. This could be the perfect set. I was able to get 1 Charlotte tote, 1 jumbo boxy, and 1 flat. I'm just gonna have to put like custom measurements on each of the listings because some of them are just like ½ inch or an inch narrower or taller than like my regular Charlotte tote bags. But gosh, if that's not pretty. I can't forget about the pockets because I like the interior pockets to be the same as the exterior. I feel like that pops so well. And then I'm just keeping like a pile of scraps over here because I know I'll need like zipper tabs, the few keychains that are keychain wallets that I'm going to do. I'll need some pull tabs for those. And let's see, I think I can get one flat pouch out of this. Yes, I wanted each of them, the ones I'm doing tote bags on, I wanted each of them to have something matching to go with it. I wasn't able to do that in the keepsake collection. There were a lot of bags that didn't have matchy thing. Oh, I'm so excited about this one. I think I'm gonna do oversized on this one just because, oh my gosh, it's a perfect piece. Can we just admire it before I cut it up? I know to some this might look like, you know, draperies or something, or like your grandma's couch from the 70s, but I think it is just so pretty. I think I want to do oversized straps too. That's something that a few people commented on. Okay, I can't go oversized on this if I want to still get the pockets for the inside. I forgot to name this one, so I went with Cottage Wildflower on this one, and I did not intend to go with a cottage theme on all of these bags, but one of the names, like I was asking people to help me name the keepsake collection that ultimately ended up being the keepsake collection, and there was something with cottage in it, and I just thought it was so cute. And I think it was a top runner if I remember correctly, but we ended up going with a different one, and so I'm like trying to like work in cottage somehow because it's so cute. So in order to get 2 bags out of this, I'm just gonna make it slightly shallower than I normally do, and I need to write that down. I'm writing down all of the measurements since they're not exact like they always do. I played fabric chicken and won on that. So each of these will have a matching flat pouch to go with it. So I changed the name of, I think I'm going to change this one that I called Cottage Rose. I'm going to change this one to Victorian Rose because this is a cottage rose for sure. This is the one I'm most nervous about because it's so odd shaped. Like I don't even know if I can get a tote bag out of this. Oh, it's a shame that there's not another swatch just about that big because I could have gotten a big boxy bag out of it. Unfortunately, it's going to be a smaller tote on this one, and so I have enough here. I could make some more flat quilteds, but I'm just going to hold off for now just because I've already cut so much else. I'm gonna definitely cut at least one. Depends on how many I can get out of this. 10, 15. So my process is like I usually don't cut all of the liners and everything at first for tote bags. Now for like boxy bags, wallets, flat pouches and stuff like that, I will, but not for the big ones. No particular reason other than I just already have so many piles of stuff everywhere. And one thing I will go ahead and cut though is the straps because I can prep those ahead of time. I like to get as much prepped ahead of time, like the pockets and the straps and all of that before we get to the actual piecing everything together. And so I'm gonna work on pockets, straps, and then actually quilting the products, which might be later tonight because we have to leave in about an hour. I have had quite the strap journey. So when I was making my octagon quilt top repurposed jumbo bags, I have just a couple left. I thought I made the straps pretty long. If you remember, like I thought they were pretty long, but I made the first one, I made the pink straps. Yeah, they were pink. I made them even longer than this. I mean, they were probably this much longer, right? And I gifted that to my mother-in-law, like as a back to school gift. She's a teacher at a high school and she absolutely loved it. And she had enough wiggle room with her arms. And there's been at least one other lady in the comments remind me about size, to be tactful. I think it's one of those things like regardless of the size that you are when you buy the bag, it's better to have too much strap than not enough. So last night, after my daughter went to bed, I was able to get a lot done. I'm gonna show you, but I have a quick question. What do y'all call this? Because I call it batting, like cotton batting. I follow this girl named Taylor Rose, and she's from Australia, I think, and I love to just listen to her talk, right? And she calls it wadding. Like the first time she called it wadding, I was like, wadding. And then someone just commented on the videos, like, do you use fleece or wadding or whatever? And I was like, is this a thing? Like, do we Americans call it something completely different than the rest of the world? The things that I have learned on YouTube. This is an absolute mess, but here we have all of the cut zippers and the zipper tabs on there for everything. I went ahead this morning while my daughter was eating breakfast, and I quilted the few keychain wallets that we have, some of the flat pouches, and the few boxy bags that we have. I've cut all the pockets. I haven't done these yet because this is going to be quilted in a different color. And then I put all of the batting, wadding, whatever, on the back of the main pieces here. I've also gone ahead and quilted. We had about 30 minutes in between like what we were doing outside and before we went to the library. And so I was able to get these 4 panels, which is 2 tote bags, quilted just in that 30 minutes using those little pockets of time. But I wanted to show you something that I'm gonna try. So all of the tote bags have like a corner, anywhere from a 4 to 5 inch corner. And so I cut them like this to do that. You don't have to cut it here. You can cut it after you quilt it if you want to. But I was kind of getting ideas from my tech bag that's right here. I haven't used it in a little while, but it's right here. And I made this like rounded edge right here. And so I was kind of thinking about like a rounded edge for a tote bag, but I am not good at eyeballing the roundness and like making it even. And so I was literally going to get stuff around my room. This is a roll of like tote bag, oh gosh, the name of this just left me. Webbing, cotton webbing, and that wasn't quite big enough. And so then this is a picture of my grandfather when he was a young spring chicken back in the day. And so that also was not kind of creating the big enough curve. And so I literally took my dollar store organizer and just put it right there, and it was perfect. This is a good activity in front of the TV in the evenings. I ironed over all of the bag straps except for I realized the purple. I still need to do the purple. So a few days ago, I ordered something that I don't normally order. I needed to restock on my sulky thread. Now I get the sulky thread on Amazon, but even with paying tax on the sulky website, it's still so much cheaper. You just have to spend enough money to get the free shipping. But I did something I don't normally do. Usually stick to neutrals, white, gray, black. I do have brown and a few blendables that I don't really use that often, but in light of having so much pink and purple, vintage fabrics. I've never done this before. I really tout sticking to neutrals because it just minimizes making sure you have all the right materials on hand. But I got this, it's like a pastel pink. I don't know if the camera is really showing the true color. And then this is like a lavender. This is a sulky 30 weight thread. This is the thread that I like to quilt with and do top stitching with. And this is not affiliate or sponsored. I just really, really love their thread. And this is like a baby pink and then like a true pink. Look how gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. That's the lineup. I was waiting to quilt this green one because I wanted to pair one of the pink ones. I think this was the pink one I was waiting for. I think that's gonna look so, so, so good. I cut the camera off, but I was gonna share this just because like I know a lot of sewing people watch my channel. If you are curious about ordering from Sulky or like directly from the Sulky website, it's S-U-L-K-Y. I actually had a problem with my order and I cut off the camera because I had to call them. I double checked and I was missing 2 spools of the bright white thread that I ordered. They were so nice. Like it was so easy. There was no like, I was just like, hey, I just opened my box today and I did double check before I ordered, but I'm missing 2 spools. It was no problem at all. They're gonna ship it right back out. Like, I was on the phone for like a minute and a half. And excellent customer service from Sulky. I highly recommend that. So I'm going to share how I make my pockets. I make them all one piece. Like, this is the stack of pockets. So this way it will just essentially eventually be folded over like this. So if they're for the pocket totes, I literally just fold them over like this because the raw edge is going to be hidden when you sew up the strap like this. But for the interior pockets, like that I add to liners, I start on the outside. You fold it right sides together, just like this. And then I put my interfacing, I go ahead and baste my interfacing in there. And this is not in my Amazon shop because I was not very happy with it. It's comparable to Pellin, like 911, or just super lightweight. But what I don't like is the measurements. This is really not helpful to me at all, and so I've been trying to use this up forever, but it's great for bags. And so I will cut a bunch of strips for the bags, and I can't even, like, depending on how it is width or height wise, I can't even get like two pieces lengthwise out of this. So it's just so wasteful. I can't wait to be rid of this thing. And so I will go ahead and baste this onto the wrong side because we're going to end up sewing it inside out and then turn it right side out like that. Now, before I stitch anything, I went ahead and created this crease here. So I'm going to put my logo tag here and stitch that on before doing anything else. So this is what it looks like. This, I've already basted that or pressed that to the back side to give the pocket some stability. And so I'm just gonna fold that back over and I'm going to stitch, I'm gonna leave a hole down here on the bottom. And so I'm gonna stitch here and here. And then I'm just gonna snip those edges. And someone made a really good point in a video. I think it was my vintage keychain wallet video. I can't remember, but they were like, you could just use your pinking shears. And I have pinking shears, but I don't think, maybe not everybody would have pinking shears. And so that's why I just shared this. You can just snip the edges without actually snipping the seams. And so now we're gonna turn it right side out. It's a little messy. And honestly, I very rarely use like a dowel rod or some kind of corner turner. I just stick my finger up there and poke it myself. Okay, and then just finger press it down like that. And then this pocket down here, or this hole down here, we're gonna iron that shut like that. Now, don't ever, if you make your fabric tags like I do, I'm gonna link down below how I made my fabric tags, because every time I show these in a video, people ask about them, and they're super easy and they're super cheap, but we don't wanna iron over top of that, so I just flip it over on the back side, not stepping on the cord, and press it down, and then just fold over these edges and try to make them even in a straight line. Nice and neat. And then I just press it like that. Now, if you want to pin it here or put a clip in, you can. If you have, sometimes with thicker fabric, it doesn't want to stay pressed very well, and you need to put a little pin. So this is a very important step that I myself have forgotten or just gone too fast before. We're not going to stitch all the way around yet. We're only going to stitch across the top first, and you'll see why once we put everything together. I don't even really bother back stitching right there. You can, but when we go to stitch around the sides, you're gonna stitch over that anyways. So it's not really necessary. So this is the outside of your pocket, and the reason we went ahead and stitched there is because when we stitch this onto our liner fabric, we're gonna stitch it on here, closing up that hole right there and stitching all the way around. So that way we still have that nice top stitching here on the top, but it's not impeding our pocket. I just realized I used white thread. This is why I don't change my thread colors, because I just don't think about it. I use the white thread, but I wanted to use the pink thread I just bought. Okay, so the pocket on the inside is gonna have white thread, but everything else will be quilted with pink. So for the next several hours, I'm going to finish prepping all of the pockets, hopefully getting the colors right, and finish quilting all of the panels, and then I need to top stitch on these. So these are the pocket totes. This is the something new that's gonna be in the drop. So there's gonna be something old, which is all the vintage fabrics that's basically just gonna be added to the keepsake collection. And the Charlotte totes, some of them are not the true dimensions of the standard Charlotte tote. These are the something new. These are Hobby Lobby fabrics, and I think the combos are so good. But I like to add a top stitch here along the bottom on this side, right down here, where it meets the base of the tote. I think it just gives it a nice finished look along the base. And so here and here before doing this number and sewing all the sides together. And here is your weekly dose of kitty cuteness. Almost 10 o'clock at night. I've been doing a lot of things like here and there, not on camera, because my summer work day at home with my daughter is just these little pockets of time. Like if she's working on something, I'll run in here for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Or if she's, you know, after dinner, she usually watches TV and I'll come in here for a little bit, or I'll try and take stuff out there and we'll spend time together, or like play a game together or something. So it's the end of day 2, and this is what I've managed to get finished. So this, I hate that this doesn't look like much, but this is the entire stack of bag panels that I've clipped together for sewing. There's a lot under here. And then here are all the straps that I sewed for the Charlotte bags. I did 4 stitches all the way across. The purple ones I just got finished actually ironing, and so I have to do those stitches still. So one of the purple Charlotte bags will have the plaid and one will have the solid straps. And then I've clipped all of the, we've got just a couple keychain wallets, the flat pouches and the few jumbo boxy bags are clipped. And then the liners, I have the tags ready to go, and then the pockets. This particular launch addition to the keepsake collection, I'm still not quite sure what I'm calling it, has kind of turned into this challenge for me this week, because today is Wednesday, and for me to do all of this start to finish, meaning cut to finish, the only thing I already had cut when I started filming was the purple Charlotte bags that I were from the previous keepsake collection that I launched, like a restock. For me to finish all of these products start to finish in 1 week with everything else I've got going on, like I've just sent off my first sponsorship for approval. There's so many other business and wifey things, is really, really something. And so it would be really awesome if I could get that finished this week. So next week I could get the pictures and the listings going and more teasing on social media, because I've made this commitment to myself. Something I'm doing different with this launch / restock is I'm committing to posting on social media every single day. Like, not just in my stories. I post on my Instagram stories like every day, but I'm talking about like something to do with the product launch. Like, hey, Ginger Patch Designs has something coming. And so I cannot stand editing reels, like short form videos, as I've said many times before. So I'm literally just posting pictures. I'm just taking pictures of what I'm doing. I'm trying to show up in the quickest way that I can on social media. That is something that I knew from the last launch that I can improve on. I did post on social media, but not consistently. So I'm trying to improve on that and just try and get more eyes and visibility on the business. This is also doubling as market prep, because whatever doesn't sell in my launches just goes to market. And so it is so tempting to just go in there and lay down and read for like 20 or 30 minutes and go to bed. But I am going to start sewing a little bit. I'm going to stay in here for 30 minutes. I can do 30 minutes, like power work, and then go to bed, because the heat has just taken it out of me today. I'm so tired. And then we'll see what we can get done tomorrow on day 3. Afternoon. It is day 3 of this restock, and I ended up working a lot later last night than I thought I would. So let me show you where we're at on day 3 after working a little over an hour last night and about 2 hours this morning. So I'm at a point in the process that I've separated some piles. These are all of the Meemaw pocket totes, and I've got all of those stitched up on the layers. I've got all of the interior liners cut. And then I did the top stitching on all of the accessory bags. Those are ready to be put together. Here are the liners. I started doing the snaps for the Meemaw pocket tote liners. All they need is a snap because the pockets are on the outside. Here are the liners for the rest of the totes, and we're gonna get back to how to do the pockets here in just a minute. And I use my chair as a catch-all. There are all the other totes that I finished stitching all along the outside. Okay, so here is the one for the cottage green. I've already cut the corners on all of the liners. So what I do for the pockets, I do the snaps first. Let's hold the pockets. We're gonna do the snaps first. And so this is where I just use my ruler to find the center. And then I usually do about 2 inches down. Where's my marking pen? There were a random assortment of like sewing accessories in my vintage fabric haul as well, and there was a bunch of these really good marking pencils as well. So right about here is the center, and then I go about 2 inches down and just put a dot. You don't have to put a snap in your totes, but like I've thought about different closures like zippers, ties. I do not like the idea of a tie at all. It looks super cute, but like I just don't think it's very functional. Like I would not buy a bag with a tie on it, if I'm being completely honest. Cute, maybe the younger girlies like it, but I would rather have either something easy like a snap or nothing at all. Okay, if you've never used the snaps, the magnetic snaps before, they have this little backing piece, and I always use a piece of interfacing on the back side to just kind of help stabilize that snap so you don't get rippage. Is rippage a word? Ripping on your liner. And I just poke my 2 holes. This is an X-Acto knife I got at Walmart. Sometimes these are like not completely like straight and you have to push them together a little bit. And then I put my interfacing before I put the backing on. I think this is medium weight interfacing. I've tried using lightweight before. I don't like it. I like something sturdier Like you could use mid-weight. I know some people use Decaville. You could even use a thin piece of batting if you want to. And then you just fold those pieces down, and I kind of push and make sure it's like flat and flush. So that's what the snap looks like on the inside. And then to get it in the exact same spot, I put the other liner. I mean, you could measure like this, but just to like double check that it's exactly centered, I just line it up right on top of each other. Okay, so now we're ready for pockets. I usually like to do, if it's interior pockets, I want to do 2, but we were really limited on fabric, so I just have the 1 pocket. It doesn't really matter which side it's on, I guess, but I don't measure with like a ruler. I kind of just eyeball the center, because I know my logo is center with this, so I kind of just eyeball like this. And we've already done that top stitch on here because we're not going to stitch over that again. I usually leave this on here, and then I get my pins, which I can't stand using pins, but sometimes you have to. And I just pin it in place a few times. That ought to do it. And then we're going to stitch, we're going to start here and stitch all the way down, and when we stitch over this, it'll close up that hole for us, and basically just a big U, and that's our pocket. And as much as I love my shop bedroom, this is a downside of having a shop bedroom, is you're limited on space when you have lots of piles going on and you have to rearrange everything. Also, I think I said, this was yesterday, so I don't remember, that I didn't bother back stitching over this top stitch right here because this new stitch is going to go over top of it. So I put my presser foot as close to the edge as possible with about 1/4 of an inch inseam, and I'm going to go back stitch over the actual pocket part a couple times, just because the pocket's going to get a lot of wear and we don't want the seams to start to rip, so we just want it to be really nice and reinforced. Oh, and also make sure you're smoothing out. I mean, if you've ironed your liners beforehand, this shouldn't be a problem, but make sure I always just kind of do this one more time to make sure there's no bunching like underneath the pocket from the fabric, because then you'd have to pick the stitches and do it again. A little snippy, boop. And that's it. That's your pocket. Oh my gosh, that color. So pretty. It's really dark in here because it's later on in the evening and I don't usually film in here. And then that's what the back side looks like. And you got your pocket. So today is Thursday the 24th. My goal was to get all of this product-wise finished by tomorrow. And if I keep going today with the liners, I should be able to get it done by tomorrow. I planned this to a T. I feel like I mommed out of control today. So I worked this morning waiting for this place to open up that I was going to take my daughter to. The goal was to wear her out so I could work this evening. She could just do her little Lego projects, and you know, we got our fun time in and she'll be good to go so I can get some work done. I took her to a splash pad, a really nice big splash pad that was an hour away. And so we did that for several hours earlier today. The humidity was 110, but it was really cold water. She really enjoyed it. And so she is done out there. I am also done. If you can't tell, I look like a dump truck, but I don't care. I really don't have time for hair and makeup today. If you're wondering how I get things done right now, that's how I do it. Probably will not completely finish the totes today, but my goal is to get the totes to the part where I'm just sewing the liner on the inside, and then tomorrow I just turn it right side out, stitch up the hole, and do the top stitching, and then all that's left is finishing the smaller bags. of the tote bags can be a little bit tricky, and so I always take this seam of the liner and line it up with the seam of the exterior of the bag, and I pin those first before worrying about the bag straps, because then I kind of stretch it a little bit to make sure the liner is actually the same width as the exterior of the bag, so that you don't have bunching, and then I get the bag straps. Don't have enough work table space. So I've learned that at least 5 inches apart is solid for the bag straps. That's why I just leave my cutting mat up here almost all the time, just because it's just so much easier than getting it out and putting it away constantly. And then sometimes you can just use the quilted lines. If you're doing straight line quilting, you can just use those instead. And we're going to put it in between these 2 seams. And I want to make sure it's all flattened the right way before I put it in there. I leave mine poking out just a little bit right here, just to make sure that they're straight when I'm going over the sewing machine, and to make sure I catch all of those raw edges, and then we can just snip off that excess right there. I actually need to pull this one out just a little bit. And then when I'm doing the other side, I actually don't measure. I literally just line it up exactly where that bottom one is so that they are even. This is my least favorite part, because like if you mess up or you get it wrong, you've done all this work on the quilted bag, and then you have to pick stitches, and which I have done. You can salvage the bag if you get bunching or whatever. It's just such a pain. It is day 4 of this restocking, and this is the giant stack of tote bags that need to be, all of the seams on the ends are going to be sewn here in just a minute, except for, I haven't put together this one yet just because it uses a different thread, and I can't stand like going back and forth between different thread colors. And so I'm just going to save this one for the end and finish this one after all the other ones. Okay, this is a really weird angle, but I wanted to show you the best that I could. So I realized something else that I do when I'm sewing this part of all of the layers together is, like, a lot of times, even though you have this clipped right here, the liner to the exterior piece, it will still bunch quite a bit. So this is not a speedy process. I am continually going like this and smoothing down the interior lining so that there's no like bunching or layers going over each other. And I do give it a pretty healthy inseam. So I can't be the only one that does this. So I use markers on my like actual presser foot. So there's like this side of my presser foot, and then there's this side of my presser foot. And like that's how I gauge a lot of what I do. And I'll just do the same like line on my presser foot on all the projects to make sure that they're even. I don't know if that makes sense, but like you see like 1/4 inch inseam, 1/8 inch inseam on directions a lot. I just use this little like line thingy on my presser foot to make it all even. So you can see I'm like constantly, I actually don't even, I do it without even thinking anymore. I keep my hand down here just to feel for bumps, and then if I do feel a bump, I either smooth it out or readjust as I'm going. And then I just check all the way around to make sure I did catch both of those layers. And I actually don't trim anything off right here. I do all my trimming before this stage because I want this width here, this seam allowance, to be even all the way around for when we turn it right side out and press it. It needs to be even for a nice clean finish along the top rim, like the top of the bag. Another thing that's kind of a pet peeve of mine, to be honest, is when you sew over this bulk right here. I've seen it done both of these ways, and I've done it both of these ways, and I haven't really noticed a difference. Please let me know down in the comments if you do it one particular way for a specific reason, because I can't make heads or tails of it. So either you like just kind of fold it over and just go over it this way, or other people will like open it up, like completely open the seam or press the seams open and just go over it this way. Either way, it's flat, and I feel like when I'm putting my finger on it, it's the same amount of bulk. My thing about opening the seams that I've seen is like the seam is not open all the way down. So I'm like, I feel like I'm creating this unevenness down the bag, if that makes sense. Again, I've just started doing it like this and just kind of going over it. Haven't noticed any difference as far as texture and bulk when the bag is finished. So let me know down in the comments what your preference is on that. Okay, I usually wait until like all the bags are finished to do this part. This is my favorite step, where you turn it right side out, but I wanted to show you something about the fabric on this bag. This is my little tagline for this restock is like some things old, some things new. This is the some things new, because this is from Hobby Lobby. This like ditzy sunflower floral with the blue buffalo check. I thought that was a super awesome combo, but I did not buy enough of the blue check to put on the interior, and so there is a little bit of something old for the interior. I found this, I was trying to find like either a white or some kind of neutral, or even like a mustardy color to kind of go with that daisy or the sunflower, but I found this in the vintage stacks that I just washed, and I feel like it looks super, super cute. It's subtle, it's a little flowery, it's actually a completely different flower, but I feel like it's subtle enough that it worked. I love this part, but it's also an ugly part because they just look like this until I'll make a stack of these, and then I'll sew the hole on the inside shut. I guess I'm just gonna have to make a pile over here. Oh, I'm running out of room. This is my favorite part, where it's kind of, even though they're not finished, it's like a big reveal of, you can really see what they're about to look like. Just, oh my gosh, it's so gorgeous. I feel like florals like this are so timeless. Like they're never not gonna be in stock. This is a purple classic Charlotte. Like this is the standard Charlotte tote measurements, except the interior is different than what I previously had on the website. I couldn't get that particular shade of solid purple anymore, so I went with some purple gingham from Hobby Lobby, and I think it makes it pop really nicely. So one of them has the gingham straps, and then I had just enough from that purple, solid purple, to do solid purple straps on this one. Now this is the Holly Hobby. Are you ready? So many people love this Holly Hobby fabric, and I only have 2 right now. I'm gonna have to double check the fabric that I have left to see if I have enough left to make any more. Oh gosh, that red plaid is just one of the best decisions I've made in a long time. Now these something new pocket totes, the fabric that's from Hobby Lobby, I actually made them a little bit smaller than the standard Mima pocket totes. I am so proud of the fabric combos I did on these. Like they just, they look so good. Gorgeous. I feel like sage green is another classic that's just always gonna look good. And I know I've said this before, but I did not even see the little coquette bows in the fabric until after I bought it. I feel like that's just a really nice touch, like taking a classic boho floral and adding a trendy element into it. Just, you can't go wrong with Hobby Lobby, I'm telling you. Something I've been thinking about, a few days into doing this, is what the best actual day of the week would be for the launch. Not what day works best for me as far as having everything ready, but like I've done a launch on a Tuesday before. The last launch, the keepsake launch, was, gosh, I did not make this hole big enough. It was on a Thursday before a holiday weekend. And so I don't feel like that was a really good gauge of, is Thursday like the best day? I literally chose that day because we were going out of town and because it was the day before a holiday. I don't think Mondays are good. And by all means, chime in the comments. I feel like Mondays is like the start to the work week. Like our brains are not in shopping mode on a Monday, right? Like it is time to get our work week started on a Monday. So I've thought about Tuesdays versus Fridays. I feel here, and here's my thoughts on both. Again, I am not a pro at this. I'm literally just thinking out loud and would love to know other people's thoughts on this. My thoughts on a Tuesday is our work week has already started. We're already kind of in a groove for the week. And so if we got that email on a Tuesday reminding us that the launch was going live, you're like, oh yeah, like it's just a little less frazzled or whatever. Like if you really had your eye on something in particular, like the Holly Hobby pocket totes. And then a Friday, definitely the work week is wrapping up. Not for me, because I work every day of the week in some capacity, but the average person, your work week is wrapping up. It's kind of more relaxed, laid back. But if you're like me, going into the weekend, your brain shifts gears and you're into mom and wife mode. And it's just like, it's just a different kind of busy, and your brain goes to activities and practices and church and all these other things. So I'm kind of torn on what would actually be the best day. I kind of want to try a Friday just to see like how it goes. I want these to go live next week, by the end of next week. Tuesday of next week is way too early. Like I'm not going to be able to tease it enough on social media, get the pictures ready, to do all of that, the emails. I'm not going to be able to do all of that. I feel accomplished. As much as I would love to dig into this and finish up those interior linings to see what they would actually look like, my daughter and I have to leave to go to a few places, and the bigger boxy bags, I realize I clipped these wrong. I want to try a French seam on one of them to see how it goes before doing the other two, and so I have to finish those up as well. For it being Friday, and by the time we get back, my husband will be home from being out of town. I'm close to being done with all the products. I really wanted to be done, but I might be working on a few things in the morning just to finish up. But it will be finished by this weekend, so sometime this weekend I can take pictures. And if you're like, why are you working on the weekends? That is literally how stuff gets done around here. Sewing for probably the last hour and a half, and I have finished all of the bags. There is something so oddly satisfying when you put those final stitches on the top stitch around the bag and it's finally finished, and it's just so beautiful. I can't wait to show you here in just a minute. But before I did that, I was going to do the trial run with one of these bags. This is what's left. I was going to try French seams, and I was going to try it with one and then film it with the next one. I hate it. I don't like French seams. I don't know if I didn't do it right. I do not like it. I can salvage this bag. This is the one that matched this tote bag right here, this Victorian rose, and I can salvage it. I can just pick the stitches and just redo it my way, the way I used to do it. But I literally just threw it over there because I don't want to deal with it. I despise picking stitches, and I don't want to do that right now. My daughter and my husband are working on Lego sets, and so this is like the perfect opportunity for me to come in here and get stuff done, and picking stitches is not what I want to be doing right now. So there's only 3 boxy bags, including that one. I need to still finish these ones that I'm calling cottage patchwork. Check out that interior. That is so cute. There'll be 2 of these that I can just finish off camera because they're just like all the boxy bags that I make. Put that over there. And I finished all of the flat pouches. I did not do bows on these flat pouches because some people like them with, some like them without, and I honestly wasn't going to be able to do a bow on all of them just because of the scant amount of fabrics. But here are the 2 classic rose ones. Here's the Victorian rose, and that's like a, I'm calling it a buttercream, like ivory zipper. And here is the cottage green, the cottage patchwork with matching blue zippers, and then we have one of these that matches, what did I call this one? The cottage wildflower is what I called that one. Even though these vintage keychains were in the previous video, these are all going to be in the drop as well. I have just a few of some of them, like the purple and the black I know are very limited, and I think this Ditzy Floral is limited. I can't remember if this one's limited or not. I'll have to look at my stack in there. I didn't completely finish all of them. I was just gonna do like a few of each because I really don't anticipate selling like a ton of these in the drop. Whatever's left, I'll just take to market. But I do have a ton of the strawberry and the white and the blue. I know that. I looked down on my table and realized I did not put in my audio port thingy on my camera, so the audio on that previous clip was probably awful. I'm so sorry. So here's the moment everyone's been waiting for. Okay, so let's do the pocket totes first. So here are all of the Meemaw pocket totes. Now, the something new, the Hobby Lobby fabric, I did make these a little bit smaller and they turned out so cute. I'll show you a comparison in just a second. So I have 2 of each of these, but they're just slightly different. Like here's the one with the purple straps here. Oh wait, just kidding. These 2 are exactly the same. I think these are the only 2 that are the same. And they have the double pockets on the outside, and all of them have the snaps on the inside. And then here's the blue. Now these ones are different. This has the buffalo check, I can't speak, buffalo blue check straps. And then this one has just the matching straps on that one. The much anticipated Holly Hobby pocket tote. This is the full-sized pocket tote. Let me back up. So you can kind of see a size difference there. I have 2 of these finished. I will look in just a second and see just how much fabric I have left. I might be able to get a small one out of it. And then this is like a sage green. I think it's super cute. So this is all the same straps and exterior, and then this is the matching straps with the bottom. So let's see, I have a few pieces I could, oh, I have more than I thought. Ooh. Yeah, I could probably do 2 more totes out of this. If the Holly Hobby sells out super quick, I'll try and do 2 more totes. And I'd have to measure either 2 large, maybe 3 of the smaller one. It's not really small. I should call it like a medium sized. But yeah, we'll see how that goes, and I might be making some more. The rest of these are Charlotte tote style, except I'll have to get specific on the listings about the actual measurements. This is the only true Charlotte tote size. This is actually a restock. This is not vintage. This is fabric from Hancock's in Paducah, and the straps, y'all said you wanted longer straps, so they are longer. Let me back up so you can actually see. I'm 6 feet tall. I don't know if that helps for reference. And so it's like a really good length all the way down. And then here's the other one. The only difference in these is the straps. Like this one has the solid purple, and this one has the gingham, the same gingham that's on the inside. They have double pockets on the inside with the snaps. This is the Victorian Rose one with the matching baby pink interior. This one's a little narrower than my like full Charlotte tote, but I just, again, it's what I had to work with on the pieces. And gosh, I wish I had more of this. This turned out so cute. So this one's a little bit smaller, but I did do the extra long straps. So it's not quite as long as the other one, but it's pretty long. I think this cottage wildflower is so stinking pretty with the gold. Like, I'm usually not like yellows, golds. I'm like, eh. But with this one, it really, really works. And if it doesn't pop on the inside. Now this one only had one interior pocket just because it was either do 2 pockets and have a little bit left over fabric, or do 1 pocket and have enough to do a pouch. So I opted for a pouch. Someone could just like get the pouch and put extra stuff in there. So the cottage rose, I have 2, and I tried a rounded bottom on the bottom, a rounded bottom on the bottom. But anyways, I think it looks really, really pretty and just a little extra dainty. I have 2 of these, and the straps are like a mauve-y pink that matches the interior, and there's single pockets on the interior of these as well. So this is a week of work in a small handmade business. I really wanted to get outside because the weather was so gorgeous today to go ahead and take some product photos. I don't like to work on Sundays. I know that I have to work whenever I can, especially with, you know, our personal schedule, with my husband's work schedule, with me being home with my daughter all the time. It's really like, do it whenever you can. But more often than not, I am doing something for the business on a Sunday. But again, I couldn't pass up that time that they're just in there. They've been doing this for like hours, so I felt the need to come in here. But it's getting overcast right now, which is still pretty good lighting, but I really need to shift gears and start organizing and do some administrative tasks for the week, because I have a market next weekend. And so hopefully I will bring you along for the ride, and you'll have a market video coming soon. I'm sure with that will come some more brainstorming tips for the fall. Friends, let me know down in the comments which was your favorite, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.